Let's call our first meeting of 2020 to order. Let's start with roll call.
Albertine Allen, Dennis Carroll,
Here.
Marty Corley, Bonnie Dimke,
Here.
Diana Gore,
Here.
Melody Haynes,
Here.
Judy Lane,
Here.
Abigail May,
Here.
Nancy Moldenauer, Mary Ellen Quinn,
Here.
and Tyra Robinson Walker.
Here. I know. I do it.
You have a quorum.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have a special request. One of our commissioners has brought an American flag, and I think that at the beginning of the meetings when we have in the council for the Board of Works and also for the Common Council, they generally do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So Mayor Perry has requested that we incorporate that into our meeting as well.
Is it acceptable to the group?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Would that come right after we call to order and before we do roll call typically?
In the
Just
future.
so we can put it in?
Yeah,
Okay.
in the future. This is something new, so we're kind of filling around for it.
That's fine.
Okay.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Maybe we could have it put up in the room.
that's a very good idea.
I'm the shortest
For
thing in
now?
the room.
Okay.
Pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
We can make a note to add that to the agenda template.
Yes, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve the December minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Finance report would be sent over by Treasurer Marty Corley. He did not send me anything in his absence, and he indicated that he would be at this meeting. So I suggest that we skip that and hopefully be able to return to it if maybe he is just running late.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Oh, God.
Hey, Don.
Hi, I'm Don Prozbolinski,
Nice to meet you, sir.
City Council President and Liaison to the Human Rights Commission.
Very glad to meet you, George.
What an entrance,
All right.
what an entrance.
Yeah, that's
I'd like to see
Nice
it again.
entrance.
Watch it on time.
Why don't you take this chair?
Because I was waiting to see who had to come in yet. I was like, holy.
I'm just a visitor, so why don't you go ahead?
All right, Dwayne.
So we'll come back to the finance report. Executive Director's report. This is a little different. I'm not sure how we should broach this. If we want to, do we want to loop back there? What should we do?
I personally would like to get our officers elected,
Sure.
and then we could go to the executive director issue
So let's,
once we have our new officers, because the officers should have been elected last month.
yeah.
We changed the ordinance. I don't know what it was the last time you were with us, but it used to be we always did in December or January, and we changed it to December, and we just kind of skipped it last December. So my suggestion, we can do whatever you'd like.
That sounds fine to me. Let's just skip through reports and go right down to new business, which is all we have is the election of commission officers. So that means that this month we would elect a chair, a vice chair, a treasurer, and 2 other commissioners to comprise the executive committee. Does anybody have questions about how the...
Yeah, I'll give them a little review of the procedure for those that are new.
Sure.
We will be having an open vote, which means a roll call vote for officers once we have our officer candidate. So it's going to be, yes or no on each candidate or slate of candidates. That's because of the open door law. The 5 people that we're going to vote on today are important because they are going to comprise the executive committee. And the executive committee is the committee that's assigned the task of choosing a new executive director when that situation arises. So there is going to be possibly be a little bit of work for the executive committee to do. And the executive committee in the past has evaluated the executive director It's not a whole lot of work, but we need our officers are automatically, the 3 officers are automatically on the executive committee, and 2 additional people to be on the executive committee, and then we also have social status to do for today. So that's what we have. I'll throw it back to Abby to how she wishes to proceed, or if there are any questions. I think she asked whether anyone had any questions.
Who are the officers now?
Currently, I serve as the chair.
Okay.
Nancy Moldenhauer serves as the vice chair. And Marty serves as the treasurer. I spoke to Nancy, and she said that she would not be able to continue into the new year as vice chair. Oh, here's Marty.
Gang's all here. We are.
It's all here. I see Marty. All right. Marty's the treasurer. And then
Did we vote already?
No, we
No,
haven't.
it already happened.
We're talking
That's
about last year's.
Get ready.
Yeah.
Right.
Mrs. Lane had asked who the 2019 officers were. And then who are the 2 other people who were on the executive committee?
I was.
And Tyra?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I have not led before an officer election for this commission, so will you just check me and make sure that is it just Robert's rules? Or is, okay. Okay, so I would like to start with the office of chair for the commission. Somebody can make a nomination, then someone can second it, then we will open it up to discussion if there is any. And then it would go to a vote and either pass or die there. Okay. So would someone like to make a nomination for chair of the committee?
I nominate Abby May for chair.
I second this.
You do a great job.
That's very nice of you, thank you. Don't all jump at once. So who was second?
Second.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was.
Patrick Kelly, you get my name wrong even.
I think it was Marty.
I get
He
it
did
right.
I think
today.
it was Marty.
You got your name right today.
Okay, so who was it officially?
I second.
Mary Ellen and Marty.
Okay.
You can open it up to.
Any further discussion? Or would anybody else like to do we make a new nomination now or wait for this one to die?
If anyone, we have a motion in a second. If anybody else needs to nominate anyone else, they're free to nominate anyone else to be chair.
Would anyone like to make a different nomination? So on the motion that we have on the table and the second, all in favor?
They have to have a voice roll call vote.
Individually, does Mrs. Harris do that? All right, thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's how we do it on Main Street.
Dennis Carroll,
So yes or no on the nomination?
Yes.
Marty Corley,
Yes.
Bonnie Dipke,
Yes.
Diana Gore,
Yes.
Melody Haynes,
Yes.
Judy Lane,
Yes.
Abigail May,
Yes.
Mary Ellen Quinn,
Yes.
and Tyra Robinson Walker.
Yes.
Yay,
Congratulations.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, Vice Chair, is there a nomination for Vice Chair?
I'll make a nomination for Miss Diane Gore.
Second.
Any further discussion? Would anyone else like to make a nomination? Okay, Mrs. Harris?
Dennis Carroll,
Yes.
Marty Corley,
Yes.
Bonnie Dipke,
Yes.
Diana Gore,
Yes.
Melody Haynes,
Yes.
Judy Lane,
Yes.
Abigail May,
Yes.
Mary Ellen Quinn,
Yes.
and Tyra Robinson Walker.
Yes.
All yeses.
Yay.
Congratulations.
And for Treasurer, would someone like to make a nomination?
I make a nomination for Marty Corley for to continue in treasurer role.
Second.
Any further discussion? Any other nominations?
Wait. No.
You snooze, you lose, my friend. Mrs. Harris?
Dennis Carroll,
Yes.
Marty Corley,
Yes.
Bonnie Dimke,
Yes.
Diane Gore,
Yes.
Melanie Haynes,
Yes.
Judy Lane,
Yes.
Abigail May,
Yes.
Mary Ellen Quinn,
Yes.
and Tyra Robinson Walker.
Yes.
All yeses, 9 yeses, no nays.
Wonderful.
Congratulations, Marty.
Good job.
And then, do we vote in the same fashion for the 2 members of the executive committee?
Ask for nominations.
Is there a nomination for the first additional seat on the executive committee?
I nominate Tyra Walker.
I would second.
I don't know who that is. That's not what's on my driver's
Tyra
license.
Robinson.
Oh, Tyra Robinson Walker. How about that? Mrs.
Any
Tyra Walker.
further discussion? Any additional nominations for that seat? Mrs. Harris?
Dennis Carroll,
Yes.
Marty Corley,
Yes.
Bonnie Dimke,
Yes.
Diana Gore,
Yes.
Melody Haynes,
Yes.
Judy Lane,
Yes.
Abigail May,
Yes.
Mary Ellen Quinn,
Yes.
and Tyra Robinson Walker.
Oh.
We have 9 yeses and no nays.
Congratulations.
Great. And then for the final seat on the executive committee, is there a nomination? I would nominate Mary Ellen Quinn.
Second.
Any further discussion? Any additional nomination? Mrs. Harris?
Dennis Carroll,
Yes.
Marty Corley,
Yes.
Bonnie Dimke,
Yes.
Diana Gore,
Yes.
Melody Haynes,
Yes.
Judy Lane,
Yes.
Abigail May,
Yes.
Mary Ellen Quinn,
Yes.
Tyra Robinson Walker.
Yes.
9 yeses, no nays.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Okay. Yeah. We have to vote on one additional position, which is not on the executive committee, but is a position that gets voted on by the entire commission, and that is to nominate someone to be the liaison for the social status of African American males commission. In 2019, it was Pastor Carroll. Would someone like to make a nomination for the 2020 social status?
I think Pastor Carroll.
You'd like to nominate Pastor Carroll? Would someone like to second?
Second.
Yes, sir.
Any additional nomination or discussion? Mrs. Harris?
Dennis Carroll,
Yes.
Marty Corley,
Yes.
Bonnie Dimke,
Yes.
Diana Gore,
Yes.
Melody Haynes,
Yes.
Judy Lane,
Yes.
Abigail May,
Yes.
Mary Ellen Quinn,
Yes.
and Tyra Robinson Walker.
Yes.
9 yeses and no nays.
Okay.
Great. So I'd just like to say that I think it's really great that all of our officers and, liaisons and the entire executive commission has the support of the full commission. I think that it's a testament to how this commission works together and everybody's confidence in one another. So thank you for that. We could move back up to the finance report now that we have
Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to make copies, but there's no additions or subtractions from the one from last month. So if somebody wants, I do have one copy. I was trying to make copies of, but I was running late,
Could you
so I could pass it
have
around.
a digital file sent?
Yes, I can. I can do that for right
That would be
now.
great. Then we can have it on file with the agenda.
Balance.
Actually, you can keep this one. This one, if you wanted to have it, or you want me to send you a digital. Ms. Harris can keep this if you want to keep it for your records.
Yes, thank you.
But I can send. I also send the whole commission a
Thank you.
digital file.
Mr. Corley,
Sir,
if you'd like, I can step out and make a hard copy for everyone very
if
quickly.
you guys want to do that.
Because there were no changes from the December.
We don't want you to do it.
We don't know what this was down in
yeah.
December. We would have to have it in front of everyone if there were changes from December. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Executive Director's Report. We have introduction of a new Executive Director for Human Rights Commission on our agenda, and that would anyone like to introduce that and how that would move forward?
I'd be happy to introduce her.
Sure.
We currently have an acting executive director, and that is a friend of mine and one of the past executive directors of the commission, Tatanisha, and I don't know whether you go by Clark or you go by your...
George.
Okay, it was in the paper with still Clark.
Yeah.
And
But Tatanisha was with us for quite a while, back prior to 2011,
Yes.
maybe?
Yeah.
She went through some difficult times when we had some cutbacks as far as a commission, but she is very knowledgeable about everything that has to do with the running of the commission. She's a longtime resident of Michigan City, has children. I just learned today she has a grandchild.
Yeah.
So, fantastic. But let me tell you that we did get a letter from the mayor, and I took a look at that, and just so that you all know what your responsibilities are, and it was in the letter, but the ordinance, our Michigan City Human Rights Ordinance says that the executive director shall be chosen by the commission, which is all of you, with the advice and consent of the mayor. So in the past, we've had a rather elaborate procedure. I don't know how you wish to proceed this time around, but I'm very happy that we have, in the interim until whenever the commission votes, we have an acting executive director, and that is Ms. George here. And so I will turn it over to her. She could give a report if she would like, or whatever she would like to say.
Well, thank you all for your presence here tonight. As Mr. Arness has let you know that I am the acting interim director for the Michigan City Human Rights Department, and we will have to proceed as far as me becoming the actual director with the approval of the commission. I personally prefer that the commission have a say-so in my appointment. When I was here before, the commissioners really had a lot of their choices taken away from them as far as who was running the department. And so with this particular term, I hope to restore some of those powers that the commissioners seem to have slowly taken away. I know a lot of times I spend most of the day reading minutes for the past 6 years, and they're very entertaining. You guys have had some very entertaining moments, but I don't have much of a report. I probably will have a better one next month because my first official day was Monday. So moving forward, I just hope to be an assistance to you in any way that I need to do, and to keep you informed about what's going on in city government.
Can I just add something? As a longtime commissioner, I can speak from experience that Tatanisha knows the ins and outs of the Human Rights Commission. That means not only our machinations, but all especially what goes on in the office, because a lot of times people think that the commissioners can run with this, but they don't have any idea what goes on in the office. It was always run like clockwork, whether it was running the annual dinner, which I did for years. I knew when exactly everything was to be in the paper because the office took care of it, which was Tanisha. So I just want everyone to know, and I did speak to Commissioner Lang over the holidays, one of our newer commissioners, that with Tatanisha at the helm, it's going to make our lives a lot easier. So, welcome back.
Yay.
Thank you.
We are still going to need a formal vote by the commission, either here today or in an executive session and at a subsequent meeting. So I will throw that to the commission as to how you wish to proceed. But the commission will have to vote on appointing a new executive director. And then it will be forwarded to the mayor's office for the mayor's approval and consent, if he so decides to give it.
And I'd like to make a motion to accept Mrs. George as a director of the Human Rights Commission.
Second.
there any further discussion or any further information that any commissioner would like to receive, before feeling comfortable to vote?
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the timeline for us to actually vote? The deadline, I'm saying, to actually make the vote.
We do not have a deadline, and I was a little bit worried about that because I thought maybe we would be without any type of an executive director here for this month and going forward. There's nothing in the ordinance that says we have a specific period of time. All I can do is let you know that the last time this occurred, it was a substantial period of weeks because we opened it to the public, we ran notice in the newspaper, we interviewed, I think it was 10 individuals, and it was over several days, and it was a very long and tedious process. So to answer your question, there's no timeline, and action does not absolutely have to be taken at a particular time. In the past, it was a lengthy process, but I really don't, personally, the ordinance, let me say this way, the ordinance does not say the procedure. The ordinance does not say we have to do this or we have to do that. It's just as the mayor indicated in his letter, section 66-31, that the commission appoints the director with the approval and consent of the mayor. So after we move to appoint someone, then it goes to the mayor's office. So that's the procedure. The mayor could say theoretically, no, I don't like this person, and then it comes back to us, which is kind of what happened the last time around. So does that answer your question, Ms. Gore? There's no timeline. There is no timeline, and we do have an acting director, so someone is going to be here to, answer the phones and take care of things in the interim. So I'm very happy about that we don't have a situation where we're in limbo, which we very well could have been.
Well, the reason I put that to you is because I appreciate, what everyone is saying, but I don't know Tatanisha, and I would like to know her before I step out there and say yes to that. So I don't know if that's going to take, sitting in the office and having a discussion with her or what. I just kind of hesitant with that.
But in the same instance, though, if there was a search, you wouldn't be part of that either, so you wouldn't know that person. So it'd be the same instance. You know what I'm saying? If there was somebody hired, we're not included into that search in the hiring process.
Well, as the vice chair, she would be.
The vice chair.
I didn't think last time I was the chair last time, and I wasn't included in that.
Well, wouldn't the process dictate that if the commission is going to put someone forward?
I just know the last time I thought I was the chair the last time before we hired. No, maybe I wasn't the chair. No, maybe I was. Okay, I'll take it back. I'm sorry.
I think the last time around, it was published in the paper, and then I believe that the executive committee narrowed down
to 3.
The number of people that were going to be interviewed. I think it was up to 10. I think I for some reason I recall an interview.
Oh, I was. I'll stand corrected. I was part of the process.
So that was the process, but what I'm saying is that the ordinance does not dictate a process, it just states what was in all of your letters that you all received. So the matter could be discussed here today, or it could be discussed in executive session. Clearly a personnel decision under the open door law is not open to the public. So we really don't want to have a debate on the merits of any particular candidate.
No, of course not.
At a public, nobody would want to have their job application or interview process be made known to the public. So that's however else you want to proceed, it's up to you guys to decide.
I know that we have a motion on the table, so correct me if I step outside of what should happen while there is a motion on the table. But an option would be to set up an executive session where we could meet with Mrs. George, have a chance to let her talk through what her mission would be as the director and what she would hope to bring to the position, and just have that opportunity to do what would be more of a job interview step where the commission would have an opportunity to have that conversation. And then in that executive session, we would be able to have the vote held there. And that executive session would not just be for the executive committee. The executive committee would be expected to be there. They would need to be there. But all other commissioners would be welcome to be at that meeting and have a voice as well. And that way we would be able to make that motion, that second, and have that vote at that time. And that way we could have discussion with Mrs. George that, you know, you wouldn't want to ask her interview type questions in this setting, like Larry said.
Right.
I would appreciate something like that.
Okay, and just again, so I could jump in again, and not to confuse things anymore, but it's always been my position, as long as I've been here, that any commissioner is invited to any committee meeting, as long as the notices have gone out properly. Not to keep any.
I just didn't want to
Right, no,
mislead by saying
stated it
executive
clearly.
session.
You stated it clearly, Abby, and I just wanted to know that it doesn't apply just to the executive committee, it applies to everything. So you're always invited, and you're always welcome. We will, regardless of whether we have an executive committee meeting or not, we will have a full vote by the full commission under the open door laws to vote yes or no, ratifying the executive committee's decision. So that is going to happen. So we're going to have a full vote by this commission either today or we're going to have it down the line. And if we do it down the line, it would be my hope that we could set something up quickly, like next week. We got to get 48 hours notice.
I think that would be.
What about well, we got a motion on the floor, what if the motion goes through?
Correct. Then
Yeah,
we
for
can,
sure.
then we're good.
Then we're good.
But then,
Okay.
yeah, Mrs. Gore, you know, is, with having put forth a question, I think is the discussion in
I
full.
was making sure that was clear.
Yeah, so we'll still vote. Is there any further discussion? Okay, and then do we vote in the way of roll call, or do we
I
vote?
think we could have just a show of hands vote for this. This is
Standard
not
vote.
for officers, so
Okay.
I haven't been told anything different by the open door counselor.
What are we voting on? You were voting on whether or not you would support Mrs. George becoming the Human Rights Director, or no. And
Let me clarify it once again, so maybe there appears to be,
No.
Which is the motion.
there's a motion and there's a second to accept Ms. George. Is that correct, Marty?
Yes.
It's
As a executive director.
once we voted, it's not a final decision, then it goes to the mayor's office for the
but you would
mayor.
vote yes, you
No
know,
or
all
no.
in favor or all opposed.
Correct.
Right, that's what I mean
Then
by
it goes to
no.
the mayor's
Would
office
vote that way.
for approval and consent. So,
So I guess what Larry's saying is you don't get the final
it's
say,
not final say, it's
but
not,
whether or not you as a commissioner would vote, you know, to, you know, yes or no as your personal vote is what we would be doing right now. Mrs. Gorsuch?
questions.
So we would,
Okay,
I think it's
I think it's
important
getting
to say.
confusing. It's getting confusing, so
Yes.
can I please make some clarity here? Okay, so just to simplify it, okay, there is a motion to move forward with Miss, and this is gonna take me some time, please excuse me, Tatanisha, George, as our Human Rights Commission Director. Or if you do not feel comfortable with that vote at this particular time, you know, you do have the option to bring it back to the executive team, and at that.
That's not the motion.
Yeah.
It's just a no vote against
That's-
Spindler.
But she's explaining why
She's
somebody might
explaining
vote no.
why everybody's confused.
But you add to the motion though. When you explain that, you're adding to the motion. The motion is clear. When you
Okay.
add more to it, that's for discussion, but that's not the motion. That's not, you're voting on the motion. That's it. Not no if or and what. It's either yes or no on the motion.
I think that that is clear, and what I felt that was clear when Mrs. Robinson Walker was putting forth
Okay.
was that, yes, you will vote yes or no to approve the motion as it stands with no amendments, which is, Marty, do you want to restate your motion?
To accept Tatanisha Clark George as the Executive Director for the Human Rights Commission.
Yes, that's what you're voting on. Nothing more, nothing less. Mrs. Robinson Walker was giving clarification of what a yes, no, or what a yes vote, if that was the majority by the commission, would then result in, or what a no opposed vote, if, you know, that was the majority vote, what the next steps would be then. And I appreciate that. I want to make sure that every commissioner understands what the next steps would be down either road.
Excellent.
Mrs.
Thank
Gore, do you still have questions? Your face is telling me you might. No? Okay. Thank you for making the motion and for seconding. So if there's no further discussion, to approve Tatanisha George as the Human Rights Executive Director, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Any abstain? Okay.
You abstaining?
Oh, you did? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you'll be happy.
I know I will.
I'm sure we will. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Tatanisha has my full support. There'll be no obstacle for the mayor's office.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I hope that you feel, comfortable reaching out to all of the commissioners and getting to know what their experience has been so far and what they might hope to see. And I know your door is always open, but so is ours.
I would like to schedule a meeting with everyone individually so they can come into the office and talk to me about.
Thank you.
And I think you're going to be my first person.
That's fine. That's what I'm asking. A very nice working relationship for sure. I'm very confident there. Thank you so much, Mrs. Gore, for for being willing to speak your mind and bring up issues. I think that any type of opposing voice is a very important and necessary voice to have within any board or commission.
And
I appreciate that. And yes, and a thorough explanation. So thank you, everybody. And I think that now we get to move forward business as usual. Yeah? Okay. I'm not sure how much was accomplished over the holiday month, but we will see. Staff attorney report?
Okay, I do want to thank all of you for being here, because I was a little bit concerned, because last month we just barely made the quorum, and so I really want to thank all of you for, I was going to say this while the mayor was here, but he's already left, but we have one vacancy, and everybody knows that our ordinance says to have a quorum, we have to have 7. So it is important to, we have 11 currently, it is important to everybody to be here, so thank you all for being here. I think you handled this all really well. It's difficult circumstances, but I think you guys did a wonderful job.
Everybody here? Is everybody here?
Except Nancy.
Oh, Nancy, okay.
And
Nancy, vacationing in Patagonia or Chile, or couldn't get you much further away. So it looks like she's having a great time.
Yes.
The only thing that I wanted to report, I just wanted to let you know that I have been in discussions with the city attorney. I've spoken to Amber several times in the last week, and I've spoken to Tatanisha several times, and I also spoke to Carl Riddle last week. So I've been in discussions here, and we were trying to figure out what the best way to go about doing this is. I was glad that the mayor sent that letter out because it made it clear as to what our responsibilities are, and we have now fulfilled our responsibilities. Hopefully going forward, we'll be able to get some things clarified that were kind of left over from the past. And the main thing, I think, is the probable cause procedure and how we want to handle that. So I'm sure that Tatanisha will be taking a look at that, and we'll try to see how we can make that procedure go better, because it really, we had too many problems, and we shouldn't. We've done this procedure over the years, and it shouldn't be all that difficult, but maybe we do need to get something set, and we need to get something put down on paper as to how we're going to handle it. So again, thank you for the officers for agreeing to serve. Thank you all for being here, and I just want to formally welcome Tatanisha. I'm not supposed to be biased or anything, but I was very happy to see her as the potential candidate, and thank Don for being here. And so I think we're going to have a wonderful year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if there's any questions, that's all I have.
Okay. Social status?
Make it a wonderful.
Social status, so no report at this time.
Thank you, Pastor Carroll. Executive committee, there's no report. Special events committee?
There's just a small report. I thought it wise to wait until after the election before we made any plans. just because we've discussed the fact that this is our one and only fundraiser, and we don't want to burden any of our commissioners. We're going to have to mix it up because it's unfair to all of the commissioners when half of them don't show up to the luncheon, they don't buy their tickets. It's a burden on the rest. I've talked to Commissioner Judy Lang and Commissioner Moldenauer and Commissioner May that we're going to do something different this year. Perhaps a cruise on Lake Michigan. I haven't been able to call the captain yet because of the weather and the holidays and everything.
Right.
But I'm just going to see if there's a possibility that we do a nice wine and cheese cruise with those that receive our awards, just something in the mix. I'm open to anyone's suggestions. I welcome them. So we will promise that we will work on that and get everything, get some plans made. Thank you.
Not to bring this up again, this has been bugging me. I brought it up with Tanisha today. We got a list of past humanitarian recipients.
I know, okay.
2011 and 12 are absent, and that was, I think, Dr. Jackson's tenure.
Okay, let me just address that because I did go, Mr. Riddle asked me to go through my booklets and papers and everything, and I did. And not only did I do that, but I had my friend Jessica O'Brien go through the microfilm at the newspaper to see who these winners were. And she said that she couldn't come up with anything. So I'm sorry to say that I have no idea who those past recipients were.
Tanisha looked through the minutes, all of the last minutes, which is just, as she said, which is a really boring job.
Yeah.
And she said that she found at least for 1 year that it was suspended as far as
Yes, it was
that's when
suspended.
Dr. Jackson was in charge. So that, and she was here about 2 years, so that would make sense
Yeah,
that maybe.
and that's certainly nothing on our commission, okay?
Correct.
We're not taking any heat for that, okay?
I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, and thank you for clearing that up because, you know, I mean, I had to call it a huge favor. Can you go to the papers, go back 12 years? So, anyway,
Well, great.
yep.
Okay, nice to have an answer.
Thank you, Larry.
How about scholarship committee?
I'll start here next month, getting it together. I'll start in February.
Okay.
So.
Reach out, make sure everybody knows what they can do to help.
Does anybody, who else is on that committee with me?
I am, as far as I like to have a hand in the topic and everything.
Okay.
I think that that's one of the coolest things we do, and I think
And I'm
that having
always there
a
to let
topic
you know
every
that.
year is
Okay.
a really nice opportunity.
Yeah.
And anybody, just so you know, if you're new and you haven't been on that committee, you're welcome to be on that committee. Just make sure Marty knows, and he'll include you in everything. Fundraising committee.
We did you guys get the minutes from the last meeting?
Mm-hmm.
There still needs a couple more arrangements need to be made before we do anything before, but we might have if we don't get anything done this month, then we'll have another meeting before February's meeting
Great.
to finalize some things.
Also, again, I think that, Melody and Marty are lone soldiers on that one right now. So if anybody else would like to join the fundraising committee.
Yeah, Ms.
And Mrs. Duffy. Oh, great. Okay. That's a solid team. Education committee, there's no report. We have the upcoming second semester grants to go out, and that will be February. Yeah, that'll be February. So we'll have a meeting to look over the terms of the grant, which we had taken from being the anti-bullying to an inclusion grant. So an emphasis on inclusion in the education process and leaving it up to the grantee to be creative in what type of inclusion that meant. So some people took that from a character development standpoint, and some people took it from an inclusion as far as needs go for different abilities and what might be necessary in a classroom to create a more inclusive environment. I think that the grant actually is really solid, that we did a great job in putting that RFP together in a way that was concise and leaving room for the grantee for interpretation, but I would like this year to see us focus on the promotional side of getting that out. I think that you know, we had 3 grantees last year and we can have 3 people win, and I think that everything is a little bit stronger when there's competition. So I would like to see the committee focus on getting the word out, getting in front of teachers, and you know, support education programs and making sure that people know what that application process is like, and hopefully we get more, you know, more requests in this year. Governance.
Also in the education committee is the Black History Month contest is part of the education committee.
Oh, you usually lead that.
Right, I sent the letter at the last one. I didn't know if you guys picked the topic or what you guys had done with it.
Oh, you're right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We did, hold on, I remember that. And I had confusion then too, I put that under the wrong part of the agenda there also. We did not choose a topic. So what would be the deadline for doing that?
Sorry, let me see if I can get.
And that's what I was thinking of when I said the theme, I like to be a part of that, that's what I was
I
thinking.
made a whole deadline and everything with the letter I
I
sent.
can pull it up.
Yeah, for some reason my computer's not letting me get online, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I feel crippled with all that.
You can use my hotspot.
What is it?
It's the only hotspot on your network right now.
For the Verizon?
Mm-hmm. I'll give you mine.
You're gonna send it to me.
I'm just gonna give it to you. Sorry, everyone. If we want, we could move through and then we can pull that up. Governance, Nancy's not here. Martin Luther King Committee.
So we got an update on everything that's going on. I did bring a couple of posters in reference to our meeting. Well, the event on the 20th. As you can see, the Michigan City Human Rights Commission is listed there as one of the gold sponsors, so you'll see that too. So if you guys want one, if you guys want to see them.
No, this was yours.
I didn't print one.
No.
Remember, the doors open at 8 o'clock, so we've changed it over the last couple of years. In reference to the keynote speaker, if you guys are familiar with Ms. Cloud, she is McCloud. She is the director of the Urban League. So if you guys are familiar with her and any of the things that our Urban League does in Northwest Indiana, one of the big things that is a nice change this year is that I don't know if you guys got a chance to even look over one of the actual emails that Mr. Riddle had sent out from the state initiative about putting all of the Dr. Martin Luther King events that's going across the states on this big website, and for there would be a big collaboration in reference to all and everything. The actual, I think she is the director of this initiative, is going to be coming to the event this year, and she is going to be part of the MLK annual breakfast this year. The goal in her perspective and her office perspective is that all annual Dr. Martin Luther King events going on in the state be put on one website, and that everybody can be all-inclusive in the celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King. So that was a big piece, and we're very excited about that part. Just remember that the Martin Luther King event for the Westville site is on Monday, and if you happen to be in Lake County, the at the Hammond site is going to be on Tuesday, and that is more of a brunch. So I do kind of have some of the agenda stuff here. Again, I do ask if everybody could at least either email me, and maybe easier, to let me know if how many people from the commission is going to be present, because as you guys know, I like to have our table set up with the amount of people. 10 people are to a table. So if you're going to be in attendance Monday on the 20th, if you can just let me know so I can make sure our table is set up and ready to go.
I'll be retired.
Oh, I know you will. So these are some of the things that, that's the difference. If you're in Lake County Tuesday the 21st and can't make it the 20th, just kind of wanted to show you guys some of the time frames in reference to those particular things. So pretty excited. There was some changes over at P&W, so it kind of was a lot of things on standby, and some of the things didn't move forward, so I was kind of very nervous, but it ended up picking up, it ended up moving forward, and so I'm happy to hear that. Also, if there is going to be a cancellation, P&W does have it on the website. They will announce it on the radio, so just be listening out for that and looking at the 10-day forecast. As of so far, doesn't look like we're going to have any cancellation. Thank you. And so at this particular time, just wanted to make you guys aware that we do have a cancellation policy as well, that, you know, if you want to write down the website or anything like that, you can. And that would be it at this particular point.
Thank you.
We'll be doing a walkthrough on the 17th, so.
Very
Wonderful.
nice, thank you.
Okay. Marty, did you have that
Yes,
in the back?
I do. So what on that outline I had, January 9th was when I wanted to have all the information and advertising being distributed, but we can push that back just a little bit. The deadline for your entry is going to be February 7th. Hoping to have all entries categorized between the 10th and 14th of February, and then we would, and then categorize and judge, and then we would notify the winners between the 17th and the 21st, and the presentation would be on February 27th.
27?
I should have asked him if was he available. I don't know if Carl had done that or he said he was prior to.
You might still be here.
You can,
The 27th,
yes,
Marty?
27th,
Okay.
yes. And we usually, it's at 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
And city council chambers, as long as they're also available on the 27th at that time.
Okay, so we check the availability and the, okay. And your deadlines are what again, Mark?
The 9th, I wanted to have all the material out, but that might be pushed back a little bit. So I'm thinking if we have a theme and everything,
If people have ideas for theme, could we say get those in by the 9th?
yeah, get those in by the 9th. And
That gives you just a couple extra days to print the stuff with the new stuff.
so if not, so I would like to have the stuff distributed by Monday, the 13th.
Great.
Yes. And then the 7th will be the deadline for all entries being turned into the Human Rights Office. We were categorized and judged between February the 10th and 14th. And then between February 17th and 21st, all winners will be notified. And then the presentation will be February 27th.
Wonderful.
Now, will you send out a little reminder to everyone when we're going to be meeting as far as categorizing and?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because a lot of times we announce it here and then
Yeah.
we get there the day of and there's a lot of work. We need as many people as we can to support the judging and categorizing. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. P-Flag, there wouldn't be any report with Nancy not here. We have nothing listed under old business. We've already covered our new business. Is there any public comment?
I have a public comment. As a human rights commissioner, I've been going out and doing other things with the Rotary Club. I went to Marcellus, Indiana, and did a speak at the Rotary Club there about polio, the disease of polio. Also, I'm on the board of directors for the children, the crippled children for cancer, Down syndrome, multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, for Camp Millhouse, and I've been reaching out in that area, and Down syndrome, to help those folks in any way that I can. I've been doing this on behalf of the Human Rights Commission and also the people that are opening the doors for me to share my story of polio
that is basically not completely eradicated as yet, even though that we think it is. There's also what's called post-polio syndrome, which a lot of people don't know about. There's another project that I'm working on that through the NAACP, that black and white polio. There was no such thing as black polio. Yes, there was. And anyway, I'm working on a video with the NAACP on that to let people know that there is, that there was polio among the blacks, and that I was raised in a black neighborhood and was very poor. And so anyway, we're working on that video also. So the education, I've been doing some speaking in other places on behalf of human rights for different diseases. Because you put polio, multiple sclerosis, and Parkinson's disease, all of these are combined as a disease of muscular neurons in the body, the spine, the lungs. On post-polio syndrome, we have around 6,000 post-polio survivors in Indiana. And I've had the chances to email a few of them. 2 of them died. They were still in the iron lung, as I was in the iron lung for 2.5 years. They were in the iron lung for 67 years. And she finally passed away. The electric went out about 5 years ago. And so she passed away. But I was in close contact with her as a friend. Emotionally, we helped each other. And so that's as a Human Rights Commissioner, this is what I've been doing.
Thank you, Pastor Carroll. It's really nice to hear more about what you're doing and all of the work that you do for human rights, both on this commission and off.
This is real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to remind people, I do this every year, on Martin Luther King Day, the Bar Association usually does a talk to a lawyer. I have not heard from the Bar Association yet this year, but I'm assuming we're still going to be doing it at the LaPorte Library and at the Michigan City Library. So hopefully check the papers and we'll get something in the papers, but we've done it every year for many, many years. So it's a good program. It's free. It's open to everyone. There's no income requirements. You get to meet with a practicing attorney, myself included, and there's usually 2 or 3 attorneys on hand. So usually the wait's not that long, but lately it's been kind of a long wait for some people. So just to let you know, Martin Luther King Day, check the papers, LaPorte or Michigan City, and either one you can attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. That's good to know.
Tom?
I have a comment, and I noticed that there's an American flag laying here on the table. And I was talking to the Reverend, and he was saying that it was brought up, discussion as to saying the Pledge of Allegiance before the meeting, but then that's not permissible to do that before the meeting. Why can't we can get an American flag in here.
We did today.
We did it today.
Who said it wasn't admissible? Did you say someone said it wasn't admissible to do that?
Well, that's what the Reverend was telling me.
No. I think that must have been a misunderstanding.
Okay.
The flag was brought in today, and it was introduced to the commission for the first time. That would be something we could do.
Okay.
We decided to add it to our agenda after calling to order and before roll call.
Yeah, we didn't have a location to set the flag, so it was held while we set
Well,
up.
maybe we can get a American flag put in here, and you don't have to worry about bringing a flag to the meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Okay.
One other comment. Can I take this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's really.
Can't take it, it's mine.
If you want, I think I have a
Madam
place to
Chair,
put
may
it.
I add one other thing?
Please.
Well, there's 2 things. I'm passing around copies of my resume because Mrs. Gore did have a point. Not everyone knows who I am, so I'm going to pass around copies of my resume, and then I'm going to have my appointment book in my office so that you and I can talk. And I want to end this by stating, Mr. Riddle, before he left, he graciously made time to talk to me, and he updated me on several things, and he shared files with me and information, and that was very gracious of him. And then Mr. Riddle's predecessor, Mr. Jeff Deitch. Like I said, I spent most of the day going through minutes, and Mr. Deitch's tenure here was exceptional. I thought he did a lot of good work. I thought he worked hard on the contract compliance issues that the contract compliance ordinance, the local hiring ordinance. I looked through his files. I was really impressed with the things that he did with that. So I just wanted to be on record that both of those individuals were very, very good in this position as executive director.
Okay, if there's no further comment, then we can have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next meeting, February 4th. Let's have 10 here again.
I have your phone number.